If you are over 60, a habit of eating sweet, juicy foods could be quietly raising your risk of a heart attack or stroke overnight without any warning symptoms. You go to bed feeling perfectly healthy, but by morning your speech may be slurred, you lose your balance, or one side of your body no longer moves. As a cardiologist, I have witnessed far too many older patients suffer from events they never saw coming. The source does not come from smoking, not from fast food, and not from a lack of exercise. It comes from something they believed was healthy. That thing is fruit. Yes, you heard me right, fruit. Every day, millions of older adults eat fruit with the belief that it is good for their heart, brain, and digestive system. And while many fruits do support healthy aging, some others, especially when eaten at the wrong time or in the wrong amounts, can quietly cause harm. They spike your blood sugar, dehydrate your brain, or interact dangerously with the medications you are taking. And the scariest part, no one has ever warned you about this. Today, as someone who cares for hearts, I will specifically name 9 common fruits that could be increasing your risk of heart attack, stroke, memory loss, or even a brain bleed, especially if you are over the age of 60. Have you ever wondered if your healthy habits could be backfiring? If so, you need to hear this. I promise it could save your life. Let's begin this journey of discovering the truth together. 1. Bananas. As a cardiologist, I have seen countless unexpected cases of stroke and heart attack. But what troubles me most are not the complex cases, but the tragedies that stem from the most seemingly harmless habits. And bananas, believe it or not, are one of those hidden dangers. Throughout your life, you have probably always heard bananas are a perfect snack. They are soft, easy to digest, rich in potassium, a mineral hailed as gold for heart health. For a person in their 30s or 40s, that may be true. But I am here to tell you that once we are past 60, all the rules change. Especially the way your kidneys, blood vessels, and your very heart react to sudden shifts in minerals like potassium. Let me explain this clearly. As we age, our kidney function naturally declines. They no longer filter blood as efficiently as before, especially if you are dealing with high blood pressure, diabetes, or are taking common medications like diuretics or ACE inhibitors. This means that potassium, a substance that bananas are loaded with, can begin to build up in your bloodstream instead of being flushed out. And when that happens, a perfect storm quietly forms right inside your chest. Your heart starts to misfire, beating erratically. Your blood vessels constrict, and worst of all, it creates the conditions for deadly blood clots to form. This is the crucial point. This blood clot, if it travels to the coronary arteries of the heart, will cause a heart attack. If it goes up to the brain, it will cause a stroke. The same mechanism, but with devastating consequences in 2 of the body's most critical organs. This is one of the unexpected causes of a heart attack that few people are aware of. I will never forget the case of Mr. John, 68, a retired carpenter. He was a very health-conscious man, always proud of his healthy diet. Every morning, he would have a banana with his oatmeal and take his blood pressure medication. It was a routine he had followed for years, but one morning his wife found him collapsed on the floor, clutching his chest. He didn't have slurred speech or weakness on one side, but rather a severe chest pain, one of the classic symptoms of a heart attack. At the hospital, tests revealed his blood potassium levels were alarmingly high, which had caused an irregular heartbeat and triggered the formation of a blood clot. He had no idea that his daily banana habit, when combined with his slowing kidney function and his medication, was pushing his body into dangerous territory. This is the part that most of my older patients are never told. You don't need that much potassium all at once. Just one large banana can contain over 450 milligallons of potassium. That's enough to throw off your body's delicate balance if your kidneys aren't at peak performance. So what is my sincere advice? Especially if you are over 60 and taking medication for your heart or blood pressure, limit yourself to half a banana per day, and it's best to eat it in the morning. Always pair the banana with a food rich in protein or healthy fats like Greek yogurt or a few walnuts. This will slow down the absorption of potassium and sugar. Absolutely avoid eating bananas before bed. That is when your circulation slows down, creating the ideal conditions for problems to arise. And most importantly, treat the conversation with your doctor as an essential part of your health care. Ask them, "Doctor, does this fruit interact with the medication I'm taking?" Your life could depend on that simple question, because the truth is what used to be healthy may no longer be safe. And if the story about bananas gave you pause, wait until you hear what I'm about to reveal about those small, sweet grapes, how they are creating a sugar bomb in your bloodstream, and why that is a silent threat to both your heart and brain. What I'm about to say might just change the way you look at your fruit bowl forever. 2. Grapes. A sugar bomb in a tiny package. Grapes. Sweet, juicy, and refreshing. A snack that seems as innocent as a Sunday lunch with the grandkids. They are always on the fruit platter in the cereal bowl and considered a healthy choice. But as a cardiologist, I have to tell you the truth for someone over 60, especially those with underlying vascular issues or unstable blood sugar. These grapes can be a silent trigger for both heart attack and stroke. It's easy for us to forget that grapes are essentially little globes of concentrated sugar wrapped in a delicate skin. Each small grape may not seem threatening, but when you eat a whole bunch, especially the seedless, extra sweet varieties common in supermarkets, you are inadvertently sending a surge of glucose and fructose straight into your bloodstream. For an aging vascular system and heart, this blood sugar spike comes with a heavy cost. As we get older, our bodies become less efficient at managing blood sugar. And when sugar levels spike rapidly, it doesn't just put stress on your pancreas, it causes inflammation within the delicate lining of your artery walls. Imagine it like taking sandpaper to the inside of your blood vessels. This inflammation doesn't just happen in the arteries leading to the brain. It is also a serious problem for the coronary arteries that nourish your very heart muscle. Over time, microscopic tears will appear, and that is where blood clots begin to form. You may not feel it, your doctor may not see it during a routine checkup, but your body is silently building the perfect conditions for a cardiovascular disaster. Let me tell you about Carol, a 75-year-old patient of mine, a retired librarian. She was very proud of her natural lifestyle, no soda, no processed foods, always eating fresh fruit. Her favorite mid-morning snack was a generous bowl of red grapes. She would often eat them while reading, sometimes finishing nearly 2 cups without a second thought. Gradually, she began to experience mild chest tightness and a feeling of breathlessness when climbing stairs, symptoms that she often dismissed as indigestion or a part of aging. These are very typical heart attack symptoms in women, and they are often overlooked. One day, the pain became more intense, and she wondered if this was what a heart attack feels like. Her daughter rushed her to the hospital. The diagnosis revealed she was suffering from unstable angina, a serious warning sign of an impending heart attack. Her blood tests showed a blood sugar spike around midday, and her A1C, a long-term blood sugar marker, had crept into the pre-diabetic range, something she had never suspected. It was her seemingly healthy habit of eating grapes that had been silently eroding the health of her blood vessels for years. This is what I want you to understand. Even healthy foods can become dangerous without context. When you are over 60, the timing of what you eat and what you eat it with becomes just as important as the food itself. So what should you do? Never eat grapes on an empty stomach, and never eat a whole bowl full. Pair them with protein and healthy fats. Few almonds, a slice of cheese. Think of them as companions that help slow down sugar absorption, preventing it from wreaking havoc in your bloodstream. and limit your portion to a small handful, preferably during the active hours of the day. And if the story of this sugar bomb has given you pause, then prepare yourself for the next fruit. It doesn't just spike your blood sugar, but also contains an enzyme and acid that can cause dangerous problems for your heart and brain while you sleep. Let's talk about pineapple. 3. Pineapple. The combination of acid and sugar. There's something about pineapple that makes us feel like we're enjoying sunshine. Sweet, tangy, and full of tropical flavor. Many of my older patients enjoy pineapple as a guilt-free dessert after dinner, believing it's light, natural, and contains enzymes that aid digestion. But what most people don't realize, and what deeply concerns me as a cardiologist, is how this fruit can become one of the causes of a heart attack or stroke, especially at night. The danger of pineapple comes from a three-pronged attack. First is the sugar. A single cup of pineapple contains up to 16 grams of natural sugar and has a high glycemic index, meaning it floods your bloodstream with sugar quickly. This blood sugar spike causes acute inflammation in the walls of your blood vessels. This inflammation isn't just a problem for the brain, it is a direct assault on the coronary arteries that nourish your very heart muscle. Second is the enzyme bromelain. While it can aid digestion in small amounts, when consumed in excess, especially if you are taking medicine for a heart attack, like blood thinners or aspirin, bromelain can interfere with blood clotting, causing your blood to become too thin or to react unpredictably. And finally, the most overlooked threat: acid. Pineapple is one of the most acidic fruits. It can cause silent reflux at night, even if you don't feel any heartburn. Here's the problem. When reflux occurs during sleep, it can cause changes in airway pressure and reduce the body's oxygen supply. For a heart that already has to work harder with age, this nightly oxygen deprivation is like making it run a marathon every time you sleep. It places tremendous pressure on the heart muscle and can worsen the underlying signs and symptoms of heart failure. I once treated David, an 80-year-old retired engineer. He had a habit of eating a few slices of fresh pineapple every night to cleanse his palate. Gradually, he began to feel his heart fluttering and some mild chest tightness at night. He dismissed it as indigestion caused by the pineapple. One morning, he woke up feeling dizzy with a very rapid heartbeat. The diagnosis at the hospital was atrial fibrillation, a serious type of arrhythmia that can lead to blood clots. The perfect storm of sugar bromelain and acid from the pineapple was the straw that broke the camel's back, pushing his heart into a dangerous state. So, what should you do? If you love pineapple, enjoy it earlier in the day, in small portions, and never on an empty stomach. Most importantly, never eat it before bed. Your heart needs stability to rest, not a battle with sugar acid and unpredictable enzymes. And when it comes to things that seem harmless, prepare yourself for the next fruit. A summer fruit praised for its hydrating properties, but under certain conditions, it could be silently dehydrating you, causing your blood to thicken and setting the stage for a cardiovascular event. Let's talk about watermelon. 4. Watermelon. Not always hydrating, it's hard to find a fruit more beloved during the hot summer days than watermelon. Chilled slices a sweet, crisp, refreshing crunch. It seems completely harmless, even extremely healthy. And yes, it is full of water. But for older adults, especially those with cardiovascular issues or who are taking certain medications, watermelon can quietly push the body into a dangerous state. This danger doesn't come from sugar or acid, but from the very thing it takes away from your system. As a cardiologist, I am increasingly concerned about how often older adults unknowingly create risks for themselves with foods they assume are safe. Watermelon is one of the biggest misconceptions. It may seem hydrating, but the truth is that watermelon acts as a natural diuretic, meaning it makes you urinate more frequently. For a 25-year-old, this isn't an issue. But for a 75-year-old, with a delicate circulatory system or who is managing blood pressure and heart attack risks with diuretic medications, this constant fluid loss can lead to severe dehydration overnight. This is one of the most dangerous silent triggers for cardiovascular events. Why? Because when your body becomes dehydrated, your blood thickens. Imagine it like thick syrup pouring slowly through narrow tubes. Thick blood moves sluggishly, giving it more time to form clots, the very culprit that causes both stroke and heart attack. It is especially dangerous at night when the body's natural circulation slows and blood pressure drops. I'll never forget the case of Mr. Min, an 82-year-old patient. He always tried to do everything right, including a habit of eating a few large slices of watermelon after dinner to stay hydrated and cool down. But what he didn't realize was that he was also taking a diuretic prescribed for mild heart failure. The combination of the medication and the natural diuretic effect of the watermelon was causing his body to lose too much fluid overnight. One morning, he woke up with severe dizziness and collapsed while trying to stand up. At the hospital, his blood pressure was dangerously low, and his blood tests showed signs of concentrated blood due to dehydration. The doctors concluded that this severe dehydration had created an extremely dangerous environment for blood clot formation. Fortunately, he received emergency care before a clot could cause a devastating outcome. It turns out the watermelon was doing the opposite of what he thought. It was drying him out, not hydrating him. So, what is my advice to prevent a heart attack related to this issue? If you enjoy watermelon, eat it wisely, eat it earlier in the day, and you might consider pairing it with a little electrolyte, like a small pinch of salt. If you are on diuretics or other heart medications, talk to your doctor before making it a daily habit. And most importantly, listen to your body. Dizziness in the morning, a dry mouth, or waking up confused are not normal signs of aging. They are whispering warnings that even a fruit that is 90% water can become a silent thief of your health. And if a fruit full of water can be this dangerous, wait until I tell you about a fruit that is seen as a symbol of a healthy breakfast. A fruit whose bright color hides a chemical that could be interfering with the heart and brain medications you take every day. Let's talk about oranges. 5. Oranges. The interaction of citrus fruits. Oranges have long been a symbol of health. A glass of fresh juice with breakfast, a few orange slices on the table. For decades, they have been seen as a vitamin C miracle. But for older adults especially, those taking medicine for a heart attack, cholesterol-lowering medication, or blood pressure medication, oranges can silently become a dangerous chemical cocktail, triggering chain reactions inside the body. The problem isn't just the sugar, although a large orange or a glass of juice can send blood sugar levels spiking. The real danger comes from a natural compound found in citrus fruits, including grapefruit, called furanocoumarin. This is a name that most people have never heard of, yet it can be the cause of a disaster. Furanocoumarin has the ability to interfere with a critical enzyme system in your liver. The cytochrome P450 system, which is the very system responsible for breaking down and metabolizing many of the medications you are taking, especially statins, cholesterol-lowering drugs, calcium channel blockers, blood pressure drugs, and some blood thinners. What does this mean? Instead of your body processing the medication safely and gradually, it can either retain too much of the medication, raising the drug concentration in your blood to toxic levels, or conversely, flush it out too quickly, rendering the medication useless. This interaction can be deadly, not immediately, but slowly, silently, by creating conditions where the blood becomes unstable. Blood pressure drops suddenly, or blood clots begin to form without warning. As a cardiologist, I have seen too many patients pay the price for mixing healthy fruit with powerful medications. Let me tell you about George, 79. He was taking a statin to control his high cholesterol and a medication to stabilize his blood pressure. He was also very proud of his healthy lifestyle, starting each day with a tall glass of fresh squeezed orange juice, which he called his sunshine in a glass. But George didn't know that the furanocoumarin in that orange juice was preventing his liver from breaking down his medication. The concentration of his blood pressure medication increased, causing his blood pressure to sometimes drop too low, leading to sudden dizzy spells. One morning, as he stood up from his chair, he collapsed. At the hospital, blood tests showed that the drug levels in his body were dangerously high, not because he took an overdose, but because the orange juice had locked his liver's ability to clear it. When I explained this to him and his family, they were stunned. "All my life, I thought orange juice was the best thing for me," he said, and it once was. But our bodies at 70 or 80 are no longer the same as at 40, especially with prescription medications in the picture. This is precisely why grapefruit Seville oranges, and even regular oranges when consumed regularly, must be considered with extreme caution. So, what is my advice? If you are taking any medication for your heart blood pressure or cholesterol, ask your doctor or pharmacist a simple question. Does this medication interact with citrus fruits? If you enjoy oranges, eat them in moderation and never take your medication at the same time as orange or grapefruit juice. Because the truth is, what's important is not just in your medicine cabinet, but also in your fruit bowl. A simple, well-intentioned habit, repeated daily, can be the invisible hand pushing you closer to disaster. And if this worries you, it should. But knowledge is power. And if you think oranges are the only fruit with a dark side, wait until I tell you about a fruit. Let's talk about apples. 6. Apples. The surprising sugar trap. Apple's a symbol of health, right? An apple a day keeps the doctor away. You've heard this saying your whole life. Crisp, juicy, and easy to eat. Apples are often handed out in hospitals and included in meal programs for older adults. But for those over 60, especially those managing blood pressure, diabetes, or cardiovascular issues, apples may not be as harmless as they appear. In fact, the wrong kind of apple eaten the wrong way can silently increase your risk of a heart attack and stroke. You see, not all apples are created equal. While apples do contain fiber and some nutrients, many of the most popular varieties today, like Fuji Honeycrisp or Gala, have been bred for intense sweetness, not for optimal nutrition. These apples have a high glycemic load, meaning they flood your bloodstream with sugar faster than your aging system can handle. And if you eat them alone, especially without protein or healthy fats to slow digestion, you are creating a cycle of a rapid blood sugar spike followed by a crash. This roller coaster effect impacts more than just your energy levels. It directly affects vascular inflammation and blood viscosity. When your blood sugar spikes, your blood becomes more acidic and sticky. Your insulin levels surge and your blood vessels constrict. This pattern, if repeated day after day, will damage the delicate lining of your arteries, including the coronary arteries that feed your heart. Microscopic tears can develop, and when that happens, your body forms blood clots to repair the damage. In younger people, the system recovers quickly. But for older adults whose vessels are already narrower and stiffer, those clots can become the trigger for a cardiovascular event, just waiting for the wrong moment. Many people don't realize this is one of the early warning signs of a heart attack. Silent and prolonged process of damage. I remember Mary, 81. She always believed she was following a smart diet. Every afternoon, she would have a large Honeycrisp apple as a snack. No chips, no cookies, just fruit. But what she didn't realize was that she was insulin resistant, and those daily sugar surges were overwhelming her aging blood vessels. One evening while preparing dinner, she felt an arm pain and a heavy pressure in her chest. Fortunately, her family recognized the signs and symptoms of a heart attack and got her to the hospital in time. She survived, but she now looks at sweet apples differently. Not as an enemy, but as something to be treated with awareness and balance. So what is my advice? If you love apples, choose wisely. Green Granny Smith. Apples are lower in sugar and contain more polyphenols, which are compounds that help protect blood vessels. Always eat apples with a source of protein or fat, like a spoonful of almond butter or a slice of cheese to reduce the glycemic impact. And never eat a sweet apple on an empty stomach, especially in the evening. Your heart and brain need stable fuel, not a roller coaster. Because even something as wholesome as an apple can, beneath the surface, be stirring up the conditions that make a heart attack or stroke more likely. And if that surprises you, you'll want to keep listening. Because next is a fruit often praised for heart health, rich in antioxidants, and often labeled a superfood. But hidden inside its crimson skin is a compound that can thin your blood too much. And for those on medication, that can be the fine line between safety and a brain bleed. Let's talk about cherries. 7. Cherries, the hidden source of salicylates. Cherries, small, beautiful, and vibrant, have built a reputation as one of the healthiest fruits. Doctors often recommend them for inflammation, arthritis pain, and even to boost heart health. You will see them praised in health magazines and added to everything from yogurt to salads. But beneath their sweet taste and glowing reputation, cherries carry a little-known risk. Especially for older adults who are already taking blood thinners or medicine for a heart attack that affects blood clotting. The danger lies in a natural compound found in cherries called salicylatia, blood-thinning substance that works similarly to aspirin. This is where things get complicated. For a person at high risk, taking a low-dose aspirin daily is a critical strategy to prevent a heart attack from reoccurring. But if you're already on medication to thin your blood, adding more salicylates from food like cherries can push your body past the safety threshold. What is the result? Your blood becomes too thin to clot when needed. Blood vessels already fragile with age can leak. And in the worst-case scenario, it can lead to a hemorrhagic stroke that is bleeding inside the brain. Most people never connect this to fruit. It sounds far-fetched, but I have seen it firsthand. Let me tell you about Robert, 84. He had a mild heart attack several years ago and was prescribed a daily low-dose aspirin. He had also read that cherries were good for inflammation and his heart, so he started a habit of eating a small bowl of cherries every evening. He called it nature's dessert. At first, there were no signs of danger, but after several weeks, he started experiencing headaches and dizziness. One morning, he woke up confused and vomiting. His wife rushed him to the emergency room. A CT scan revealed something terrifying: a brain bleed. It wasn't from high blood pressure or trauma, but because his blood had become too thin and a small vessel in his brain had ruptured. The combined effect of the salicylates from the cherries on top of his prescribed aspirin had silently created a disaster. That's what makes this so dangerous. The effects are subtle and gradual. You feel fine until you're not. And once a bleed begins in the brain, it is very difficult to stop. This is what I wish more older adults understood. Even natural foods can interact with your prescriptions. A fruit that might help a younger person with soreness could, for someone on blood thinners, push their system into a crisis. So if you love cherries, please eat them mindfully. A few now and then are likely safe, but avoid concentrated cherry juice or large daily portions if you are on medication that affects clotting. And always talk to your doctor before making something a regular part of your diet. Because what seems small can become serious when it enters an aging body. And if you think this is the last surprise, think again. There's another fruit often praised for its antioxidants, but which may be carrying one of the heaviest pesticide loads. And for older adults, those toxins don't just wash away. They accumulate and may be doing far more harm to your brain and blood vessels than you've been told. Let's take a close look at strawberries. 8. Strawberries. Mold pesticides and inflammatory triggers. They look so harmless. Bright red heart-shaped sweet with just the right touch of tartness. Strawberries are the very picture of health. You see them on hospital meal trays blended into smoothies and served at elegant brunches. But for older adults, the truth behind strawberries is far less sweet. In fact, this popular fruit may be silently increasing your risk of a heart attack and stroke in ways you have likely never been warned about. Let's start with what most people don't know. Strawberries are one of the most heavily sprayed fruits with pesticides. Year after year, they top the Dirty Dozen Lista ranking of produce with the highest levels of pesticide residue even after being washed. And for older adults whose detoxification systems slow with age, these chemicals don't leave the body easily. They accumulate in tissues, including the fatty tissues surrounding blood vessels, and can damage your cardiovascular system from the inside out. Many of these pesticides are neurotoxic and vasculotoxic. They cause oxidative stress, weakening the structural integrity of small blood vessels throughout the entire body, not just in the brain. Your coronary arteries, which feed your heart, are no exception. When these blood vessels are weakened, your body responds with inflammation and clot formation, one of the primary causes of a heart attack. But the risk doesn't stop at pesticides. Strawberries also contain purines, natural compounds that break down into uric acid in the body. For individuals with a history of gout kidney disease or vascular inflammation, which includes a large portion of the senior population, elevated uric acid can spark intense inflammatory responses. This inflammation narrows blood vessels, increases blood pressure, and once again creates the conditions for blood clots to form. I remember Susan, 80. She had always loved strawberries and ate them almost every day because she thought they were healthy. She had mild hypertension and occasional joint pain symptoms she attributed to her age. Recently, she began to feel unusual fatigue and a discomfort in her upper back. These are often subtle and overlooked heart attack symptoms in women. One day, the pain became more pronounced and she was rushed to the emergency room. The diagnosis confirmed she had suffered a minor heart attack. Her blood tests showed elevated uric acid and signs of oxidative stress. Her strawberry habit, meant to protect her health, had unintentionally become a subtle daily dose of risk, contributing to the inflammation and damage in her blood vessels. So, what should you do? If you eat strawberries, try to choose organic whenever possible. Wash them thoroughly. Don't eat them daily and never rely on them as your primary source of antioxidants. If you have gout kidney issues or are on blood pressure and heart medication, ask your doctor before adding them to your regular diet. Because what you don't know can hurt you slowly, silently, until one day a blood clot steals your health, your independence, and even your life. And if strawberries have surprised you, wait until you hear about the final fruit. A tropical fruit that seems luxurious, full of health claims, but may be silently disrupting your blood pressure and triggering cardiovascular events in the morning. Let's talk about mangoes. 9. Mango. Blood sugar spikes and medication interference. To many older adults, a mango feels like a tropical treat, a reward for eating healthy. It's soft, fragrant, and naturally sweet. But as a cardiologist, I must warn you that behind that appealing exterior, a mango can be a silent saboteur, one of the most unexpected causes of a heart attack. Here is the hard truth. Mango is one of the fruits with the highest sugar content. Just 1 cup of ripe mango contains nearly 45 grams of natural sugar, even more than a regular donut. This sugar is absorbed extremely quickly, leading to a sudden blood sugar spike. This spike causes severe inflammation in the delicate lining of the arteries, including the coronary arteries that feed your heart. This is a direct path to atherosclerosis and the formation of blood clots. But that's not all. Mango also contains natural compounds that can interfere with the way your liver processes medications, especially drugs used to treat arrhythmia, cholesterol, and blood pressure. It slows down the enzyme system in the liver, which can cause the concentration of medication in your blood to rise to dangerous levels. If you are taking common medications like beta blockers, metoprolol or calcium channel blockers, amlodipine, this can cause your blood pressure to drop too low or your heart rate to fluctuate unpredictably. Let me share the story of William, 83, a retired firefighter. He was very proud of staying healthy, and a few months ago he started eating dried mango slices every afternoon, thinking it was a smart alternative to cookies. He was also taking medication for high blood pressure and atrial fibrillation. After a few weeks, he began to feel lightheaded in the mornings. One day, he collapsed while getting out of bed. At the hospital, doctors confirmed he had suffered a minor stroke. Blood tests revealed that the medication levels in his body were abnormally high, even though he had taken the correct dose. The culprit was his daily mango habit. It had overloaded his liver and caused chaos in his system. And I must be honest, he was incredibly lucky. With the same mechanism that blood clot could have easily traveled to his heart and caused a fatal heart attack. So how can you prevent a heart attack from these risks? If you truly enjoy mangoes, eat them in very small portions, no more than a few bites, and only during the day. Never eat them before bed. Always pair them with protein or fat to blunt the sugar spike. And if you are on any prescription medication, especially for your heart cholesterol or blood pressure, talk to your doctor first. Because in these later years of life, even small mistakes can have serious consequences. After hearing about these potential risks, you may be feeling worried. But my purpose is not to make you afraid of fruit. My purpose is to empower you with the strength of understanding. Because knowledge, not medicine, is the most powerful preventive tool. The truth is, aging changes everything. Your body at 60, 70, or 80 is no longer the same. It processes food and medication differently. This doesn't mean you are weak. It means you need to become wiser. So what should we choose to protect our hearts and brains? Focus on berries like blueberries, mulberries, and raspberries. They are low in sugar, rich in antioxidants and compounds that protect blood vessels. Choose green apples instead of the sweet varieties. Enjoy avocados, a fruit rich in healthy fats that help regulate blood pressure. And use lemons as a wonderful seasoning instead of eating the whole fruit. Above all, remember 2 golden rules. Timing is everything. Eat fruit earlier in the day and never before bed. Never eat it alone. Always pair fruit with a source of protein or healthy fat like nuts or yogurt to slow down sugar absorption. This is not about depriving yourself of the sweetness of life. This is about enjoying it intelligently with respect for your body and the long journey you have traveled. Thank you for listening. Talk to your doctor, think about what's on your plate, and make the choices that help you live a healthy and fulfilling life, because you deserve that.